Hi everyone, welcome back to Clinical Psychology Community UK. My name is Holly and I am currently a first year trainee clinical psychologist. So today we are going to be talking about some of the most popular DClin myths or concerns that you guys have as sent in by our wonderful Instagram followers. Remember to follow us on Instagram and you can have some input into the latest videos as well. Our first one then is age matters. And the person that sent this in personally hears a lot of, oh, you're too young to apply, you're too young to get anything out of the course, you're too young, you don't have the experience. And I kind of want to tie that in with one of the other myths that I think we are all kind of get caught up in when we're trying to get onto the course, is that getting on quickly is really important and it's just vital to get on quickly so you can start your career and all of this stuff. So age matters. Let's look at that one. So I think it's a bit tricky because I don't necessarily think age does matter. And in my experience of the course, granted my limited experience, but in my experience of the course, age doesn't seem to matter. It's not really been a discussion that's been had in our cohort, really, that I've noticed. What I would say though is that experience matters, independent of your age. And I think it often follows that the older you are, the more experience you have, and it doesn't always work that way. Some people might come to psychology as a late career. They might decide, actually, maybe I didn't want to use my English degree, I'm going to go and do a psychology conversion, and it might be something like that. So actually they might be, I don't know, mid-30s and might only have 1 year of experience. It really depends. But I do think experience matters, and that I do believe that is independent of age. The other thing about age is, I think the only way that it would matter on the course as a cohort is if you had a big age difference between kind of the youngest and the oldest and lots of different interests. But actually on our cohort, I think there's lots of social opportunities that people of any age can kind of get on board with. So some of the things our cohort have done, not that I've participated in all of them, because it's a matter of time really, isn't it? And I think when you have a group of people, there's always going to be lots of different things going on. So lots of pub trips, going to crazy golf, going for coffees, walks, going to plays, gigs, pottery making, like all of that sort of stuff. There's loads of different opportunities, and I think as long as you enjoy doing social things with other people, it really doesn't matter how old you are to get on with the cohort. So when we talk about age, it's very often, okay, I need to get on as quickly as I can to the course, and I think it can feel like a bit of a race, and the people that get the places are seen as winning that race. But remember, and I'm going to caveat this with, I know how annoying I would have found this on my journey, and particularly this year after perhaps not getting on for the 6th time. If someone had said this to me, I would have found that very, very annoying, but it's so true. We're all on our own journeys, and just because it takes someone 1 year of AP experience to get on, and it takes you 5 years of AP experience to get on, it actually doesn't mean anything about you. It's, it could be the system, it could be the fact that the person that got that 1 year of AP experience had a brilliant supervisor, and you might have struggled with supervisors or struggled in the service. Psychology might not have been valued. It could have been more of an administrative AP role that you were in. There's lots and lots of factors that play into it, and actually none of it comes down to your worth. And I do think there's a reason that people that get on the course do tend to be kind of mid to late 20s, and that is simply because of the experience, because it is so difficult to get relevant clinical experience a lot of the time, and that takes quite a few years to build up. So I wouldn't say that age matters. I think experience matters, and what you make of your experience matters the most. Our second one was also sent in by an Instagram follower. Thank you so much. You have to be experienced in everything before you get onto the course. Absolutely not. That is a myth. Do not believe it. That is a complete myth. So I'm just going to speak about our cohort. There is such a huge wealth of experience in that cohort. And actually, I think we truly do value everyone else's experience. I've asked people for help in their area of expertise, asked them questions on teaching, maybe not understanding things quite so well, maybe having experience on placement that I need to talk to them about. And I've also been asked for my experience and what my opinion might be on working with a particular client or particular client group, because we all value each other's experience. In our cohort, and on our course, I think I certainly feel this way, and I can't speak for everyone in the cohort, but I certainly feel that there is an acceptance that you've got onto the course and that you're good enough, and that we all have different levels of experience and different involvement in experience, and the course is so varied that everyone is experienced enough to be there. I don't personally believe it's possible to get experience in everything before you start the course, because it's not really possible to do that in, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years after graduating. We're talking about career length stuff, levels of experience here, so it's not always possible. But I think I definitely felt a huge pressure to get lots of experience, lots of varied experience, but ultimately I don't think it was the variety of my experience that secured a place onto training. I don't think it was that. I think the amount of experience I had was probably helpful. For me personally, I had a lot of difficult experiences where psychology wasn't valued in teams, and supervisors weren't psychologically minded necessarily. It wasn't a big focus a lot of the time. And I did lots of experience. I had lots of experience in lots of other ways that were also really helpful, like risk assessing, but maybe not from a psychology kind of perspective. All that stuff was really helpful, but actually it's the amount of experience and the reflection on those experiences, the learning that I took from it, that's actually the thing I think that secured me my place. And actually now we're on the course, we've kind of settled into a placement, 3 days, teaching 2 days. I'm really pleased that I've got the experience that I do have, because when you have discussions in the session, when teaching, when you're doing exercises and things, you can bring some of that experience, and it's so interesting talking to everyone else about that. So I don't think it's possible for you to be experienced in absolutely everything everything psychology before you get onto the course. The course is a training course. It's there to give you lots of experiences. And our course has a kind of needs assessment that works out what you have done before. You kind of put in what you've done before and some of the things that you'd really like to focus on while on training and beyond as well. And they try and find you placements that kind of fit with that. You are there to learn, and that's okay. It's completely okay. But try and get some experience in something that you're really interested in. A lot of my experience came from health psychology and physical health services, and I'm really interested in that. And I think that's why I'm on the course that I am, because that's a kind of focus for them as well. So yeah, you can't be experienced in everything before you get on the course. I appreciate that pressure is there, and it's really difficult to kind of shake, but get some experience that you're really interested in as much as you can. So the third one, again, thank you so much to the Instagram follower that sent this one in. You must be working for 15 hours a day. How do you manage it? Okay, so I want to caveat this with 2 things. Firstly, I've only been on the course for 2.5 months, right? So maybe talk to me in a year's time and maybe I might say something different, I don't know. And secondly, I would say that most days, Monday to Friday, I am working more than a 7.5 hour day, yes. I'd say I'm probably working like a 9-hour day, probably. Maybe a little bit more on some days. And that's probably only on 2 or 3 days a week that I'm doing a long day. But that's at the moment at the start of the course. So you must be working 15 hours a day. That is the concern that's come in. I absolutely am not doing that. I don't think it's possible to work too many hours. Of course it is. It's very possible. But for me, I'm so brain full by the end of teaching or a busy placement day. There's no point in me sitting down and trying to do some extra work, because I simply won't do it. I won't get it done because my brain is too full. It can't take anything else in. So for me, it's a little bit more about taking advantage of the times where I might have some more energy, and maybe working the extra hours on those days. And then the days where I'm actually like, I can't do anymore, just stopping and being like, okay, well, that's all right. It swings and roundabouts. It will come around again, and I'll be in a place where I can do it. Also, for me, I set really clear boundaries with myself. I don't want to work on weekends if I can help it. I really, really want to avoid that where possible. So working the long days, working into the evening works better for me. But some people might absolutely, might really want to be going out lots in the evening, and that's fine too. But I think it's really important to set some clear boundaries for yourself. And I think that is how you can manage lots of the stuff that's going on. Also, each course is different. So for some first years on courses that I've seen on social media, they've already got assignments and things. We don't have any assignments on our course yet. We are all thinking about our research that we want to do on the course. So we've got 3 main research projects, and we have to have them all approved by the end of the first year, so we can kind of start working on them and doing things throughout the second and third years. And that is alongside placements. And you have to do quite a lot of placement paperwork and logbooks and things like that, and teaching and preparing presentations if you have to do kind of presentation-y stuff. Not that we have to do lots of preparation on our course, but just taking in the information, it's a lot to juggle, and staying organised as you can is helpful. But the other thing I would caveat that with is to try and stay realistic. Like I said, sometimes you're just exhausted and you can't do it, and that's okay. You can't keep working and working, and you've got to kind of see it as a bit of a marathon. And I don't think that's just true of DClin. I think actually that's true of any work. It's a marathon. You have to pace yourself, otherwise you might not get there. It's difficult. But ultimately, no, I'm not working for 15 hours a day because I simply can't. I'd be very, very interested to hear any second and third years that might be like, oh, you just wait. But we'll see. And the last myth that our followers had was that you need to have a PhD or a master's. So this is, I'm going to say contentious. It's probably not contentious. It's just debated, I think, because we can only really go on anecdotal evidence. I have a master's. I don't have a PhD. Personally, I don't think it was necessarily the fact that I had a master's, although fine, for some courses they give you more points for that when they're shortlisting, depending on what grade you got as well. I actually think it was the content of my master's that helped me more. It was so much more applicable to clinical psychology, to working in health psychology. It was foundations in clinical and health psychology. And I think it also gave me some confidence. There were lots of presentations and kind of CBT formulation-y stuff that made a lot more sense to me than my undergraduate degree did. So I think it depends. I personally just couldn't have done a PhD because research is really scary. But there are people on the course that have done PhDs, and actually we're so grateful for them because we're hoping that they might be able to help us out with research. So I think it depends on the course, ultimately. I would say that you don't need to have either. I think the most important thing is clinical experience, but some courses do really value the academics and the academic side of it. So yeah, it's difficult to say. And those were our DClin myths and concerns part 1. Hopefully we'll do a part 2, so pop down in the comments what your concerns or myths that you've heard about the DClin that you might want me to debunk, if possible, demystify the DClin a little bit. But also bear in mind I've only been on it for a few months, so we'll see how it goes. And perhaps I'll do an update to this video in a year's time when actually maybe I am working for closer to 15 hours a day. Hopefully not, we can only hope. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!